tight. Oh my God. All right, we are back. Tanya Parr said, I loved your book, Free Agent. I'll just start with that.
That is
we
cool.
got folks, and you've got 2 books out.
Yeah.
You got a children's book and your Free Agent. Tell me about both of those.
Man, so the Free Agent book came at one of the toughest times of my life. It was a lot like what we're going through right now, time of uncertainty. I'd gotten cut from my first NFL team. I was back home in my parents' house in Snellville where it all started. And I was really just going through that transition of trying to like find out who I am, my identity and where I'm going, if I'm ever going to get another call again or not to play back in the NFL. And like the Lord really just put it in my heart to not only go through this experience, but also like write it down and think about all those who would also go through the same moment of uncertainty and disappointment and whatnot. So I started writing, and it was really a time of just venting. But then I realized there would be so many people in this position, whether it's they get fired from their job, they lose their business like my father did, they go through divorce, just some major time. And so I really thought about how can I reach them and how can I also build myself during this time. So that's what the book is really about, is how to overcome times of transition, but then also how to just really discover who you are and the true version of yourself when you're going through that moment in life where everything that you've built your brand or your value on has been stripped away from you. So your job, just your positioning in society, that's where you really learn true self-confidence. You learn true self-motivation. You learn true discipline. Yeah. You learn true faith. Your faith is built during those times. So it really uncovers a lot of those things. And it's not just about football, it's just about life in general.
Yeah. And I think that there's some key things that I just heard you say. I love the phrase that success leaves clues. Right. That it's very easy when you're cut. And I'm sure a lot of the guys you played with, and I got a chance to play a little bit of minor league baseball. And when I was cut, you start reeling. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people are reeling right now.
Oh, man.
I mean, you've got COVID-19, you've got the racial things that are happening around the U.S. and around the world. Yeah. For me, just starting off with Kobe Bryant beginning this year was my childhood, and him passing away and his daughter there. So just seeing that success and how you've navigated that adversity, but then how you've turned it to impact other people. Tell me about that, Rennie, like those moments. Maybe give the folks that are tuning in, because this is the Elevate Summit. This session is about brand. Right. How are you taking those moments and growing your brand in the midst of pain, in the midst of frustration, in the midst of failure?
It's everything. I mean, that's where entrepreneurship really started for me. It was being in that moment where I had every reason to say, man, woe is me, or like, what am I going to do? Yep. And I took that and instead thought about, man, how can I empower somebody else by what I'm going through? That's the solution that I was able to create. And it was in the form of my book, but then it became speaking, and then it became, coaching and other things. But in that moment, it was about, man, who else is going through what I'm going through? Who else is feeling this pain? And then using that as my guidance tool to really think about, man, how can I provide solutions? How can I provide value to others? And who's my target audience? What's going on in their mind right now in this moment? And so that started, like I said, when I got cut. But even before I got cut, man, as I was going through my journey of even trying to make it to University of Georgia, I was labeled undersized my whole career. And so as I was going through my journey, I thought about, man, who's that young kid that I can reach, and talk to and tell them, hey, man, like, I was able to do this. These are the skills that I learned. This is what you can do. This is how you can maximize where you are. Even though your coach is doubting you, even though your teammates might make fun of you, you can still make something of this and something of yourself. Yeah. That's where it really started, and how I've been trying to really leverage my brand.
Yeah, that's good. And you grew up in Gwinnett, is that right?
Yeah, Brookwood High School.
Brookwood High School. Okay, so I went to Berkmar High School, which is right next door to Brookwood, and they beat us pretty much in everything, sports and even chess club. So anyway, represent Gwinnett County. But so some of the thoughts that we had here and some questions beforehand, I want to talk a bit about your transition from college to pro sports to what you're doing now. Maybe just give us Rennie in transition. I'd love to talk about race and the new workplace. That's really this whole theme of this conference is about the new world of work. Right. What are some recommendations you can give us as a Black leader? What does that look like for us? How could you teach us? How could you, I want to spend a bit of time listening. That's been a theme for me over this last season of how could I get better with my ears. And I think all of us out there desire to grow, to listen, to lean in. We're seeing that in social media and conversations. So let's start with the transitions. When you transition from college sports to NFL, I know your book has mentioned this a little bit. How would you help all of us transition better? Or maybe with some principles you've learned in that?
So when I think about the transitions, whether it's from, going to college to the NFL, or from college or from the NFL into what I do now, there's the three major things that I think about is, number one, rebranding yourself. So going to college, from college to the NFL, I can take the same techniques, same mindset, same skills. I had to, humble myself, and I had to learn. I had to put my thinking cap on. I had to connect with the right people, the right teammates, surround myself with the right team, really put myself in a position where this organization could trust me. And so it was the same thing when I went from being known as an NFL athlete to now an entrepreneur. I had to reestablish my brand in terms of how the public perceives me, how I'm looked at, what I'm known for, my brand. All those things matter in terms of just.
Did you write that down? Did you write down here's how I want to be perceived as? Did you actually make a list of that?
Definitely. So and now I've kind of more systematized it, but I first identified like where I'm at now, what I'm known for, what do I provide value? What do people say about me when I walk in a room? What do they say about me when I leave? And then I had to clarify. So I had to first identify, clarify where I'm going and where I want to be. What's my brand vision? And so what do I want to be known as? What are the things the skill sets that I need to develop? So I basically did like a skills inventory of myself. And then from there, I started to, once I had that clear goal of where I wanted to go in terms of my brand vision, then I had to personify that. Like I had to be that every single day, from the messaging that I put out on social media to the brands that I align myself with.
What's your favorite brands? When you think about aligning yourself, what are your favorite brands?
Man, I mean, I think there's no better brand right now like Chick-fil-A. I think we all trust them. We all know their values. We all know how we're going to be treated, like their behaviors are consistent, how you're going to be treated when you go to one of their establishments. Their performance. The Chick-fil-A nugget is always going to be the Chick-fil-A nugget. Like the waffle fries always going to stay the same.
What's your sauce? What kind of sauce are you dipping now?
I got to go Polynesian.
Polynesian. All right, in the chat. Right. I want to see, what do you choose? I've never had Polynesian sauce. Right. That's amazing. I know. Man, I'm sorry.
You crazy.
Reaction.
It's like, what? Just lost all credibility.
All credibility is shot. My goodness. I want to see in the chat right now, what is your Chick-fil-A sauce? And I would agree, Chick-fil-A, they have a very solid brand.
Yeah.
So as you were thinking about your brand, your transition, how did you begin? You internalize what do I want to be known for when I walk into a room? What were some first steps you took as you begin to share that with other people?
So the first step I had to take, like I said, was just evaluating myself. I spent all these years as a football player. What are the skills that I've learned? What are the relationships that I have? How can I take what I built, like this platform, and expand it, right? So I looked at, okay, I have the skill of being able to coach somebody. I can take all these lessons that I learned on the football field, and I could easily, that's bread and butter. I could do that all day. But what can I do more in terms of not just boxing myself into this sports, and jock mindset, but getting out and impacting communities, impacting corporations. And that's when I landed on my story and thinking about the terms of just the transferable skills that apply not only to sports, but to business. So teamwork, leadership, culture, overcoming adversity, change management, like all those things I just started to uncover as I thought about, okay, how does my experience apply to somebody in the corporate world? And so that's what gave me the confidence in terms of knowing that I have something of value to bring, because we really struggle with that. A lot of us as athletes is how do we, really transition and be able to provide value, like I said, outside of just being on the football field and hitting people.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people that, they get a big check, they get paid, spend a lot on a car and a house, and then you're, NFL stands for not for long, right?
Exactly,
it's such a short route. Same way with any sport except golf. I feel like that's the one people can be there for a long time. But when you think about it made me think about what Lauren Schwab said yesterday at Day One. She talked about unplugging and resetting.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself doing that more now? I'm just talking for me, Billy. I've had more blank pieces of paper in front of me with a fresh marker going, wait, like,
right.
Are you starting over a lot? Are you doing that more now? How are you handling that?
I think that's the greatest blessing about just being in these times of uncertainty, is where you can just take a step back. You can be removed from everything that's normal, all the business meetings, all the emails, all the obligations that seem so important. Now it's like you have to sit by yourself. A lot of people haven't sat by themselves in such a long time. You have to really evaluate who you are, where you're going. A lot of things can be confusing in those times. A lot of feelings and emotions that you have can be frustrating, but you really get to peel back the layers, just your life, you get to reflect. And so, I spent so much time doing that, and it was so enlightening and so empowering. at the same time, just understanding like not just what has gotten me here, but also just, you know, thinking about my childhood, man, like some of the patterns that we have in our life, some of the roadblocks that we have, the challenges that we have, whether it's professionally or in our relationships, in our personal life, like where do those things stem from? So actually having a time to really like dive deep into that and uncover those things is powerful. And I recommend that everybody take advantage of it.
Yeah. So hear it from a college NFL athlete who obviously has it going on, has a lot of great things happening, as even Rennie is taking time to say, let me throttle back. Let me learn again. And by the way, I'm seeing Avocado Ranch making its way here. I see the mixing Polynesian and sweet and spicy sriracha. I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic, but I'm seeing mixed barbecue, honey mustard, and mayo. That's weird.
Wow.
But it's cool. Do your thing.
How creative.
I like it.
It might not agree with my stomach.
Wait, I didn't know there was something called Chick-fil-A sauce. Tanya, I hope you're totally joking. Honey mustard, mixing Chick-fil-A and sriracha. So we're getting that in there. Thank you for joining us in that fun chat. But bringing it back to something a bit more serious.
Yeah.
As we're making transition, we're thinking about brand. Mm-hmm. I want to go there with this conversation just on race.
Right.
I'm white. You're black.
Yes.
We're sitting in the same place, having the same vision to help people live and lead at a higher level, making an impact. Teach me. Teach us as a powerful black leader.
Right.
That is striving every day to grow and to lead. What do I need to know? What do we need to know that you're thinking about and that you're processing? I know seen you many times. I mean, Rennie's a great keynote speaker. Book him for your next event, whether it's virtual or he's an amazing communicator, as you've already seen. Such a heart, but I would love to pause, sit back in my seat. You can look right there and talk to the whole audience about what you're thinking about in these moments and how could you encourage us here in this next season?
Man, okay. That is a tough one to really unpack in a couple minutes. But I think when you think about where we are right now as a society and the opportunity that we have, because I do believe that this is a huge opportunity. The first thing is you got to be willing to listen like never before. Like really remove the ego, remove any, beliefs that you have, statistics, all those things, and just listen to those around you with an open heart, with empathy. And I've shared this before, but for those who aren't really sure about what to do in these moments or how to be involved or how to really, how you really fit into all this, I want you to think about any cause that you've been passionate about, whether it's ALS, whether it's animal protection, whether it's cancer. Think about how you approach those situations. Think about how you approach those causes or those organizations. Did you go to those events? Did you show up? Did you donate your time? Did you give effort? Did you start a challenge? Like, what did you do? Did you go there and did you try to say, well, nah, that's not how I think about cancer. That's not how I think about ALS. That's not how I think about this. This is what I know. This is what I believe. Or did you listen to the stories of those who shared about their personal experience? And did you really, really have empathy for them? So just think about those different experiences, and you can use that kind of as a guide tool of how you approach race with your corporation, with your team, not pretending like it doesn't exist, but really, really having empathy, really taking the time to listen and then being proactive about it. Donating your time, donating some money, donating just that effort and making yourself a part of it, and not just a one-time thing, but really, really making it a part of your life. And I think that's where it starts.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. And you have a daughter, right?
Yeah.
How old is she?
My daughter's 11 years old.
11 years
going
old.
On 18. Yeah.
11 going on 18. I love it. So tell me about that as a dad with your 11-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
How has that conversation been just as a father? What's that been like?
Oh, man, it's been a lot. And there's so many things that she doesn't understand. And I'm trying to prepare her as much as I can, because the world's is not going to, give her that much grace. The world's not going to give her a pass. It doesn't matter what her age is. Like my first experience with racism and profiling was at like 8 years old. So I, as a father, try as much as I can to equip her to be a leader, not just somebody who's, just trying to achieve or just trying to grow and be in this society. For her to have that awareness, for her to have that confidence, because the world is going to, let's face it, there's going to be bullying. There's going to be so many messages that come out about her, whether it's intentional or unintentional, about who she is as an African-American woman. So it is my obligation and my duty as her father to be the first line of defense when it comes to empowering her and building her up, so that when she goes out into the world and when she faces so many different obstacles and challenges, that she has that chip on her shoulder, that she knows, who she belongs to, and what she stands for and her values and all those things. And it has to start from me, and not just what I say to her, but how I live my life. So she really holds me accountable every single day just by the fact that she exists.
Yeah. Woo. Who would want Rennie to be your dad to guard and protect you? So I know that I would want that. I see the best explanation that I've heard is what Michelle said. Empathy is super important. Thanks for being open and raw, Rennie, is what Nabila said. Hey, Nabila, how are you?
Thank you, Nabila.
Just empathy and action, heart check, mind check, action daily. What would you hope comes out of this season of racial injustice as it applies to the workplace?
Yeah.
So shifting a little bit to places of work where we are, the conversations being created. Obviously, there's protests, there's bigger conversations. When I say the name Ahmaud Arbery, the feeling that I have, we talked a little bit about your feeling in it, my feeling in it, and I got to talk to a lot of my Black friends about when that's the one that really, because it's Brunswick, Georgia, it's where I'm from, it's where you're from. That was the one that really got me angry. And I talked to my great friend Jason Eskridge, who said, Billy, when you're angry, I'm tired. And he said, this is a conversation that's gone way too long. And so I'm learning how to tune into emotionally where others are. And I think that applies to the workplace, applies to everything else. So maybe take us a journey on what you hope to see based on what's happening now and how that could impact the workplace.
Man, so when I think about just everything going on and how it can be used as a tool to, really bring it into the workplace, I think about my experience as an athlete, being on a team, right? We could very easily be on a team and just focus on the game plan, focus on what we're doing that week. But the greatest coaches I played for took the time to really create a platform or a space where we could be vulnerable and we could share about our experiences, not just on the field, but what we're going through in life, and share about our vision and our hopes and our dreams. And it built that camaraderie. It built like a sense of just like brotherhood. Like once I knew about your life, I knew about like the fact that you didn't even want to go back home because you didn't have anything back there, and that you came from a single parent home and you lost your brother at 10 years old. You stopped being my teammate. Like now you're my brother. And so I think like the more you can implement that into a corporate environment, I know a lot of times there's everything
you get fast.
You get busy, you get fast. It's all about the bottom line. But the more and more company leaders can create that space where people can be vulnerable and create those collaborations and create those opportunities where people can be vulnerable and authentic, it's only going to help. It's only going to help them come together. It's only going to help in terms of their impact in the business world and how they're able to reach their clients. Like it's going to really impact them in a powerful way.
Yeah, love that. And I think the phrase that Sanger was mentioning yesterday, I'm going to butcher it, but he did a wonderful job of framing up this idea that if you're not developing a community, you're just a commodity. I think for the best businesses are developing community within their organization. They're really caring about their team members at a deeper level, knowing that now the emotional highs and lows of what's going on, you never quite know where we are. Like for me, this has been a very tough season in a lot of different ways. As a business owner in the event space, when COVID-19 happened, 297 events to zero. It was like, okay, you got zero revenue coming in. You got all these things. So it's been a really tough thing. I'm sure a lot of you can relate out there that things just radically changed. So giving people space to have a bit more conversation and giving them room to have those myriad of emotions, but also taking responsibility for those emotions and revisiting some of those conversations. And like you said, being real, me knowing more about you is only going to endear me more to you and for you to work harder as a team member and vice versa. So I'd love to hear, is there any, I see William Moore on there. Rennie is awesome. We sketched his talk on Jekyll Island in 2018. I love that. William Moore, I'm watching now. We got Kate Youngbauer. She said, William, is that sketch of Rennie's talk available to view, to purchase? Interested. I love it. Look at that right there. It's all love.
That's cool.
So as we close down, any final word, something you're thinking about? What do you want people to leave your time from the summit with?
Man, final word. One word that's been resonating with me as I've gone through this time and as I'm thinking about how do we move forward from this is collaboration. There's going to be so many opportunities to partner. Me and you, we're sitting here right now as a result of everything going on. And whether it's through corporations, whether it's community initiatives, whether it's protests, it doesn't matter. Like there's so many opportunities to just bring people together. Yeah. And so I really want people to be mindful of that, man. Just thinking about how can I come together with my community organizations, with the company I work with, create new initiatives, create new products. Like some of us have more time than we've ever had.
Unfortunately, yes, but fortunately for others, yeah.
So this could be the time to take that risk in terms of, an entrepreneurial collaboration.
Yeah.
But just really thinking in terms of creating strategic win-wins.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping everybody comes away with this. It comes from this. Is just that mindset of abundance and collaboration and seeing, man, what skills do you have? What skills do I have? Let's come together. Let's see how we can build something and all win. And whether that's going out into the community that you normally wouldn't, or being around somebody that you normally wouldn't, there's going to be so many powerful things that come from this time.
Yeah.
And I hope that people are just mindful of it and aware and take advantage of it.
I love it. I love it. Hey, clap it up in the studio and clap it up online for Rennie Curran. And I don't care about COVID-19. It's all love, man. Appreciate you, man.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Yep. So, listen, go follow Rennie on all the social media places. Make sure you go check him out online, and just really, really grateful that he stopped by. I hope you heard just some patterns in there and the grace that he shows by just starting that conversation, by being someone that's a change maker, by our approach is everything. And I think that's bottom line. When you're growing a brand, the more authentic and real and honest you can be, even when you're really, really talented, what the world might say is talented, is important. And I'm super, super excited. I see in the waiting room that Jen Gottlieb is here. You can't see her yet, but I can see her. She's become a great friend. It's interesting when there's a moment, and whether you're at a dinner or at a networking event, I see a lot of claps in the chat. Thank you for that. Where's the link to his book? Can we put that again in chat? I know it was back up there. The link to his, actually, we didn't mention Rennie's other book. He wrote a children's book. What was it called? What's the children's book called, Rennie?
What does it take to be a star?
What does it take to be a star? I forgot to ask about the children's book. It's awesome. Make sure you pick that up. We'll put both those links there. That's Free Agent, his book he mentioned, and What It Takes to Be a Star is his children's book. So it would bless my socks off if you go there and press the button that says buy now and purchase that. That'd be amazing.